Schlock, 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 schlock. What is up, everybody? I'm Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Kringle Anonymous.
Chris Kringle Anonymous. Merry Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
Christmas Day?
The second day of Christmas. Or
Merry Christmas. We're coming to you not live because we have families and things to do. But this is part 2 of our Silent Night, Deadly Night, part 3 and 4.
4 and 5.
4 and 5. I've been doing
Recap
that.
of 3, 2, and 1.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen those, check out our playlist. It's going to be up here or down there or
Christmas Island
at the end of this video. So previously we talked about, we did our Web of Schlock for parts 4 and 5.
And then the good.
Initiation and the Toy Maker. I don't know if I even
No, we didn't say
Toy Maker.
Yeah, we didn't say Toy Maker.
Part 5 is called the Toy Maker.
Yep.
We did our Web of Schlock, and we did our good and bad about those ones. And now we're going to do our Schlock for both.
4 and 5.
Then kind of a wrap-up of the Silent Night, Deadly Night series as a whole. So this is probably just going to be
quintuple. Yeah.
a lot of rambling. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We thought, what do you want more for Christmas? And it's us rambling and talking out of our chimney pipes.
Our stupid chimney holes. So, Chris, part 4, Initiation, the Witch movie.
Yeah.
What do you have for Schlock? What are you thinking?
Again, it's from my good, but the body horror, the bugs, the slime, the creepy crawly things, putting these weird larvae in navels and out of mouths and pulling them in different places. It's just so bizarre and schlocky, and Clint Howard also, like that cheeseburger line from the beginning. No cheese, because there's like little maggots crawling in it.
Yeah, they did, or it was ants. Ants were crawling over.
Ants, yeah.
They did pretty good on the gross out factor.
Yeah.
On that. So, body horror, you know, it really kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. What I think was weird, so her legs are transforming.
Yeah,
right?
Again, yeah, and then her arms are like twisting, and it's like larvae and mermaidish.
But yeah, when she goes through the weird eyes wide shut nose dong sex ritual rape sexual ritual.
That's the awkward
can't
part
say
of the
that
movie.
on YouTube. But yeah, very very awkward, and Clint Howard's squealing like a pig
and his little hairy chest. It's a gross scene.
It's odd.
There's a lot of gross body horror, which I love, and then there's that scene which is just like
uncomfortable sexual
very
scenes.
uncomfortable.
But so she's supposed to be going through this transformation, getting rid of the fear of men, but it's like the fear that's caused by men, like in women. By men. And she's getting this weird goop, crusty stuff on her legs. It's kind of mermaidish, like you said. But why specifically the legs? And I bring that up because the very first shot in the movie, when Clint Howard, Ricky looks up.
I have an answer for you.
And she falls down. Her legs are on fire. And I just want to bring this up because it's a very schlocky part after the cops take the body away. There's the chalk outline, but it's only the first half of the body, and then the rest of it is like
ash.
Okay. Why the legs?
That's the answer is the initiation book that she's given is Lilith. Lilith in that book is represented as a being with legs of fire. The bottom half of her is fire.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that is mythologically or historically the story at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm aware of the mythology of Adam's first wife, but beyond that, it feels like they just kind of had their way with the story.
Yeah, I think that's maybe one of those instances where you can just kind of make up whatever you want, and it will.
Fire legs is a weird thing to make up because that makes everything really difficult.
Yeah, well, I think there's precedent for like angels with like legs of fire.
Okay, so like maybe that's what it is.
Lilith is like kind of a demonic figure.
Yeah.
So
I really liked the idea, but it was schlocky. But I like the idea of being consumed by fire and be consumed by the power that you're granted if you don't go kill another male.
Well, so was Lilith going to take over her body? Is that what
basically you through the initiation of the witches, you're given the power of Lilith, but then to cement that deal, you have to kill the male.
And a blood sacrifice.
Right, and if you don't do that, then your body can't handle the Lilith power and you spontaneously combust. The question is, I'm proposing that every spontaneous combustion ever is a failed witch initiation.
Potentially.
Yeah.
You can't disprove it.
It's also interesting that they kill her boyfriend right away, because that would have been, and I guess Ricky killed him and they were mad that he killed him. So I assume they wanted him to be the blood sacrifice.
Yeah, I think so.
And because Ricky killed him, and I guess that one witch chides him for killing him. Like, oh, why'd you do that? And he's like, I had to. And so then they opt for the younger brother.
Right.
Which is really dark turn, like character-wise, for our lead, who's a fairly innocent, even though she does some very not innocent things. Like I mean, I don't know if she's really attracted to this guy or if
I definitely got the sense that she for sure was like doing some ladder climbing.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. And that's not everyone, but that's the vibe this movie gives you.
Yeah.
Again, this character is very all over the place, so you don't really know what her motivation is. Sometimes it felt like that. Sometimes it felt like she was being used and wanted love, and when he takes the story from her and doesn't even try, but then he does the right thing, kind of, and
yeah, very odd.
Her motivation is just all over the board of what she wants, and even who her character is. Like, it feels like from scene to scene, the director's like, "This is who you are today," and it's like, nothing holds together.
Yeah. So something that was a good for me, but I didn't mention it in good because I really don't know where it lands for me. But so I mentioned that it is that subgenre of witch movie, witchiation, and so someone who's done that before and who we've watched on this channel before is Dario Argento. With Suspiria. Now, I've seen his original Suspiria, and I can't remember exactly what it's about. If it's witch initiation or if they're just killing ballerinas to make themselves more powerful. But the remake, which I've seen most recently, is about like some sort of witch initiation. And this has a very Dario Argento vibe to it. Well, excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that it touches on. Again, so we talked about the body horror and kind of there's homages there, and
there's
even
like these subgenres within subgenres.
But like the psychological thriller that turns into like a surrealist horror,
right?
Like you don't know if she's dreaming, because I think what happens is the library witch, the Witcharian, Emu. So I think Emu, or whatever her name is, gives her a fig or a date. It's a date,
and it's very clearly drugged. I mean, it's got goopy stuff.
Right. So we don't know for most of the movie how much is druggy or not druggy.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just trippy. It's a trippy movie.
Well, and they have this beautiful shot where it's when Kim, our protagonist, is leaving Limu's apartment, and she's trying to run away, and it's like this weird
that is
red
a cool shot.
image, right? And I had to back it up because it was super disorienting, which I think it was supposed to be. It's like, is she running down a weird red hallway?
Yeah, it's the best shot of the film. It's cool.
Absolutely. But it's the emergency exit, and once it like comes into focus, you can see the glass on the door.
Yeah, it's like it's an inspired shot.
Yeah, and that is super Dario Argento to me. I mean, all of the reds and blues and purples that they put in, the very harsh lighting, that is definitely a trademark of the director Brian Yuzna.
I think,
but I can't help but speculate if he got that from Dario Argento.
Yeah, so I just wonder, like, it feels like, I know that we've read that it's like inspired like by the producers and what they wanted in part 3, but it feels like this is a movie that he had that wasn't going to get made unless you slapped on Silent Night, Deadly Night 4.
Right.
A couple more schlocky things before we move on to 5, because we're kind of going over our time here, is we talked about the TV scene where he just killed the guy, or he's about to kill the guy, and he sits down on TV in Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. So meta, so schlocky. Love it. Trying to think of some other like really schlocky. Oh, this is not schlock, but this is something that I love. I love bookstores in
bookstore movies.
Scenes that take place in bookstores, especially kind of strange and either occulty or antiquity, like just that idea of like old tomes and like the smell and like here's this section and this is what I'm looking for, and like it's
Favorite bookstore scene: 10 Things I Hate About You, where Heath Ledger says, "Excuse me, I've lost my copy of Feminine Mystique."
Okay, and I think that's a perfect spot to transition into the schlock of part 5, the Toy Maker.
Toy Maker, yeah, yes, sir. This kid in the movie, I don't know his name. I don't know how they got him. And I feel okay saying this because I know he's a grown man now and he can take it. Did they get a kid that is just a gape mouth breather? Because he doesn't hardly have any lines through the whole movie, but he just sits there just with his mouth agape the entire time. That's all he had to do. Kids, you can act.
He was traumatized in the movie, and he played that really well. I mean,
boy, I guess I think he might have had something going on prior.
Right?
He's an adult now. I'm not picking on a kid. This is a grown man. I'm sure he still does it.
I'm sure this movie still traumatized him.
Yeah. So the Toy Maker, very, very weird movie. It, like you said prior, it feels like it fits more in like a vignette type of holiday movie. I mean, it's definitely centered around the holidays. We have the creepy ex, right? He's kind of stalking the family,
who just so happens to have history with Joe Petto.
Yeah. So here, I don't know if he's a good guy. I don't think he's a good guy because he knows Joe Petto has been accused of rigging toys that hurt people.
Spoiler alert: it wasn't him; it was his son, Pinocchio.
So he buys toys from him nonetheless. What? There's not a Toys R Us in 1992 or whenever this came.
Yeah, 1991. Yeah, there's Toys R Us still.
Yeah. What's he doing? Buying toys from the pedo that he knows could potentially be rigged. So he puts it in a present, puts it on the door, and it winds up killing the kid's stepfather.
Yes. Who?
And then he comes in.
But the stepfather believes he's the real father.
Well, I mean, whatever. He kills off his competition.
Yes.
I feel like he knowingly kills off his competition.
So you think the boyfriend, the ex, is the one who put it on the door? That says to Derek, don't open till Xmas?
Yeah.
No, I think that's Pino.
Well, because the ex, he's buying, Noah is his name.
Yeah, Noah.
He's buying all of the toys and shows them in his hotel room unrigging them. Like
no, he's trying to find out if they're rigged.
Yeah, but why?
Because he's afraid that this guy's doing the same thing because he saw the news article about the stepfather getting killed.
Okay.
Because that's the news article he drops in Joe Petto's toy store. I
don't think he's a landlord. He's like a hotel owner, maybe.
Yeah. He
comes by and he gives him a toy
to shut him up.
Noah gives him a toy without checking it.
Right.
And says that little line, "It's to die for." knowing full well that this might be a rigged toy. I mean, it's pretty creepy looking.
Right.
We as the audience know from the previous movie, the larvae thing, that's a similar prop. I don't know. I think he's probably a bad guy.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't think of that at first, and I think your facts on some of it are wrong, but you're starting to convince me.
My facts are never wrong. No, I'm probably pretty wrong. I think Pino's probably pretty creepy. He may have been.
I don't
around.
think that Noah is the one who put the toy on the doorstep, but I
he
do
brings
think
him a toy later.
He does bring him a toy later, but I don't think it's from Joe Petto. But he does give the one guy, Larry the larva, with the intent of giving it to the kid, full well knowing. So you're spot on there. He might not be a bad guy, but he's not a good guy. Plus, he makes out with his ex like a week,
2 weeks.
2 weeks after her husband is mysteriously killed in a freak accident.
Yeah, I don't know.
Schlock, the toys. Larry the larva. What a great toy.
Which that toy itself seems pretty distinctly different from all the other toys. I guess there's the
that's the only
kind of alien, the single eyeball. It looks like Kronos from The Simpsons.
Yep.
Kronos, right?
I think so.
Other than that, Larry the larvae.
And then the Pokeball Santa. That's kind of unique with the evil face.
Everything else is kind of like your
normal.
basic like kids, boys' toys.
Yep. So schlocky things I want to bring up. The Pedo-Pino fight is just bizarre. Just that whole dynamic, and their relationship, and the whole idea of aping the story of Pinocchio for this. It could be really cool, but it's just so strange here.
Well, it's that story is like the crux of the movie. Like that is the most interesting thing,
hands down,
in the movie. And it's really not revealed until like the latter third of the film.
Well, and you could have done so much with that. Like, because you have the whole trope of like the sins of the father, right? But what about the sins of the child? Right? And like, and there's been lots of movies. There's been, Academy Award-winning dramas. I can't think of the name of it, but it's about the parents of a kid who goes on a school shooting or something that. Yeah. And so it
sounds heavy.
Yeah. And it's a very heavy theme of like, okay, you created this person and you assume that they're going to be good like you. How do you deal with them doing something you would never do? Right. That is a very rich, heavy thing that you can
Dahmer?
No.
The Dahmer series that just came out, because it kind of highlights his father and how he deals with that.
Again, that's not what I'm talking about, but it's that same idea. So on a lighter note, they were watching part 4.
Right.
That's hilarious. Every single, except for the first movie, which the first movie flashes back to itself.
The second movie flashes
but the first movie flashes back to like earlier in the movie.
It's just like this repeating.
So every movie has at least one snippet where they show something from the previous movie. Here we don't get any visual, but we get the audio from the fourth movie of the guy talking about a killer Santa as he watches the killer Santa in the third movie, which has flashbacks of the first movie and the second movie, and then the second movie.
They're all connected.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. And then another thing I want to talk about is the climax, which is just WTF. It is so awkward.
The climax where he's like,
mommy.
He's in his Ken doll form. He strips naked, takes his pants off. He's like a life-size Ken doll, and he's like, I want you to be my mom, but he's also like, trying to. I'm trying not
be
to
intimate.
Get us, be intimate, right? I'm trying not to get us banned on YouTube here, because this is a very weird ending. These last two movies just have some very weird things.
Just some Akko Taco stuff.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I liked it, because that sounds like I'm a really weird person, but I do
It showed how deranged Pino was.
Here's what I was thinking while I was watching it. You know how you always say, I like this idea,
But I wish they'd go there.
but I wish they'd go there. And I was sitting there thinking, I bet Chris is totally stoked they're going there.
Right?
They did it.
They called my bluff.
It's
I
a
was
big
like,
game of chicken.
and they win. I wish they didn't go there.
No.
Yeah, it was not. No.
Yeah, they could have had a beautiful thing. And
here's the thing:
it.
it didn't have to go there because it wasn't built into the story.
Exactly.
Like if it was built into the story and then they go there, that's one thing, and maybe that's not the movie for you or for me, but that's the movie it's supposed to be. If you're gonna go there, go there.
Right.
But they went there without any lead in. Like you didn't need to go there. That didn't have to happen. I love that we think it's Mickey Rooney. As the evil Santa who grabs him because he's creepy and you just don't know, and he's an alcoholic and and then of course when Pino takes off his mask, which was seated in very nicely because in the beginning he's like, oh, all you do is spend time making those creepy masks.
Yeah, and I thought the effects were great.
Yeah,
there. I thought they did that very well.
Yeah. The other thing after we get past the really awkward part of the climax is
stop calling it that.
Right. The tag team fighting where they take turns instead of just fighting, like she stabs him with the screwdriver, and then she just backs up and okay, I did my thing, and then he comes in and he's getting his ass beat by Pino with one arm.
Right.
Like he hacks off Pino's arm, and then Pino just whoops him.
He just turns into the Terminator.
Yeah, and she's just there chilling. And then eventually they do team up and she takes an axe to him
together.
Yeah,
it's a family movie.
But it just felt really like, why aren't you doing anything? Go help him.
Right. So one of the last things I want to bring up for Schlock is the babysitter and boyfriend and Lonnie dynamic. Well, so let's reverse here to Lonnie. Right. He is the same actor and the same name from the kid in the previous movie, and he is with Kim. The actress name is Neith something.
So he was the little brother in Initiation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't pick that up. That's awesome.
Yeah, he looks totally different.
Yeah,
it's the same name.
A couple years later, he grew older. Weird.
Yeah, I don't get it. But I'm trying to figure out what are their relation to our main characters.
Neighbors. Yeah, neighbor / best friend. That's it.
Ugh. Come on, guys, that's terrible. So, anyways, he steals the rollerblade. Well, he steals the present, finds out the rollerblades, goes zipping around.
Oh, I love when he puts the present in the trash can. And then the shot stays there, and you see the creepy kid just by the tree. Why is he even there?
And he's in his neon sweatsuit.
Yeah, he's just sitting there waiting for someone to throw a present away.
Yeah, it's Christmas time. That's what you got to do.
People throw presents away.
But so he has this interaction with these people that look like they're in their late 20s, but I think they're supposed to be teenagers.
Yeah,
and the guy says to him, "I eat kids like you for breakfast. And that's why my shit smells so bad." I'm like, what an odd line. And forever I thought of him as, oh, that's the guy with the smelly shit. And his girlfriend just so happens to be the babysitter.
Which I think is Neith's / Kim's daughter. Because she's the one all freaking out when the babysitter's injured. And she's all bloody. And she's like, oh, what happened to you? And
Which, by the way, she comes out. That's a pretty good jump scare when they get there. She comes out. She says the toys are attacking. One of them shoots out the window
and blows up the trash can.
So they see that the toys are indeed attacking. They're inside. Our main guy, who's not a good guy,
doesn't do anything.
He says, "Let's go inside." Yeah. He wants to He's trying to drag her back inside.
Maybe you're right.
And then the mom, she's like, "My kid's been kidnapped. I got to go save him." He's like, "No, don't do that."
Okay, so I want to. You brought this up. It's that same scene. I want to talk about the perfect schlocky horror scene.
Okay.
And I think it's when the babysitter and her boyfriend are trying to make whoopee. Yep, and the hand, and then the toys, and like, where are those toys at? They weren't there before. Oh, sure, they were just toys. So
we've been busy or whatever.
Especially, so we talk about horror movies, especially slashers, and we can go back to the first Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's that whole idea of sin and then paying for your sin. And, you know, everyone has different moralities, and there's gray everywhere. But in a horror movie, you know, whether you personally agree with what's right and wrong, there's just certain things that if you do, you're going to get killed.
You're marked for death. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not a question on the morality of real life. It's a trope within the horror genre.
Right.
And so teenagers having sex, making out, sneaking out, basically doing anything that they're not supposed to do, it means they're going to get killed. And so you have that in the first movie where they're making out on the pool table, and then, you know, they're getting killed, and it's just this great horror kills. Yeah. This is it's like the classic horror scene of teenagers about to have sex and then just awesome kills.
Yeah.
But it's done via that scene from Toy Story when all the toys attack the bully. Right? Which is just great.
It's basically the same movie.
Yeah, and it just stays on this scene. Like, the scene is too long for the movie. But as just a piece to watch by itself, I love how long it goes on. And, like, they don't just kill them right away. They get bloody, and they get beaten, and then they're still alive, and they're crawling. She gets shot
in the chest by that tank, and I'm like, she's dead, because it, like, explodes.
Yeah, no.
And then she's still going.
Yeah. And they
Energizer Bunny.
They have, like, every toy you could imagine as a kid.
Right.
And each one does its own thing. And they can't help each other, and then it gets bloodier and more violent, and they keep on living.
They're like holding them up to their face so that they can keep attacking.
Yeah, oh man, you have the soldiers and the guns and the flying and the car with the blades and like
it looks like the
snake
Batmobile.
And the hand. Yeah, favorite scene of the movie. Loved it.
So I think we're running out of time here. Let's wrap up this series as a whole. I believe there's a remake that came out in the early
which we'll have to visit
2000s.
maybe next year.
But as far as Silent Night, Deadly Night proper, we've seen them all. We've endured the whole thing. What do you think of this series as a whole?
It's not very good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like schlock and you like horror movies and you like Christmas-themed horror movies, check them all out. Some are better than others. None of them are great. My favorite is still the first one. I went back and listened to the soundtrack this week. Love it. That's what makes it a cut above the rest. Plus, it's a classic slasher. It's not a perfect movie. But then I'm going to say Part 5 is my favorite. After 1. It goes 1, 5. Then I think I like 2 better just because the Garbage Day line, but 3 is a better movie.
Yeah.
4 is probably the best, like, structured movie. But it's just not a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie.
Right.
So there's stuff I love in each and every one. If you don't like the stuff, I can't recommend them.
Yeah. Yeah. If
you don't
like scary movies, don't watch these. What are you doing?
But there's some that are like they transcend that. Like, I know you don't like sci-fi, or no, you don't like horror, I know you don't like this, but you got to check this movie out.
Yeah.
These don't do that.
Right.
Your thoughts on the whole series? So
I kind of consider 1 and 2 to be...
I don't even think 2 is 2. It's like 1 remixed.
Yeah. And so I, in a way, I consider them like part of the same whole in a way. But 2 is just so bonkers, like with the weird campy lines and the bad acting. I mean, it's I don't know. It's like the last half of 2 could just be its own movie in itself. I don't know. I don't know if I can really rank them in order of favorite to least favorite, because to me each one is just kind of its own unique, odd thing. I like the idea, and they finally got to it in part 4 or part 5. They finally got to it in part 5 of doing like it's a Christmas series under the same name that it's a different story each
Right.
time. And I think that's a really interesting idea.
Like, we talked about the Halloween 3. Why? I wish they would have kept up with that. I want to see Halloween 3
Well,
Part 2.
But you can't do that once you've already made a sequel to the first one
Right.
that's directly connected.
Right.
Like if they would have done Silent
Toy
Night,
Maker.
Deadly Night 1,
Then Toy Maker.
Toy Maker, Initiation, and Christmas it up a little bit more.
Right.
They need to, like, each one needs to be a very different thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can use the same actors. You can reference the other ones as like meta movies or what. Like,
Yep.
I think that's all great. I think by the time they did it, it was a little too late.
Yep.
But I do think that's an interesting concept, and I would like to see that tried again.
Yeah. I always like that. Okay, go ahead.
Nope, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, I got two things. So Christmas starts on Christmas and it ends on 12th night,
Oh, gosh.
which is January
Here we
5th.
go.
So we have Christmas Eve, then you have Boxing Day, you have 12th night, you have Epiphany, you have New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, right? But there's days in between that don't have any special holiday, but are part of the 12 days of Christmas.
Right.
I think we should take one of those and make it Garbage Day.
Garbage Day.
So maybe the 27th, 28th. I mean, we'll figure it out, but we'll let you know.
You got something special in mind for Garbage Day?
I mean, you take all the wrapping paper and you put it in the garbage outside because it's...
Oh, I thought you meant a movie.
No.
Okay.
I just think we should have a holiday called Garbage Day. That's part of the 12 days of Christmas.
I dig that.
Yeah.
So, well, speaking of Christmas, we're wrapping up. We'll tell you what the next movie is going to be on our social media, which you should
Subscribe.
check out,
Yeah.
subscribe. Yeah, we haven't been saying any of that. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. Give us a present because we're giving you a present. And Chris...
Your presence watching us
Ooh.
is our present.
I like that. Chris, I have something very special for you. I have a present for you. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Open it on air. And
Okay.
I am Darty Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Anonymous. We have been compelled by Schlock, and we will see you next week.
That way you don't see my chair when I'm hanging out with you.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay, as we're going out with the music playing, I got a question for you. Is the whole series Inception? Is Ricky still comatose in the first movie because of what he saw, and these are just deeper levels of his dream? And that's why it's so meta, and each one references the previous movie.
Yes, that is it.
Merry Christmas. All 12 days, including Garbage Day.
Garbage Day!
Garbage Day!